Welcome to The Complete Teacher, 101 meaningful, bite-sized professional development lessons, each coming with thought-provoking titles, relevant, inspiring quotes, helpful text with anecdotes, data, and wisdom, and action steps. Lesson 79. Don't get mad, get glad. It's good for everyone. Mr. Rogers says children who have learned to be comfortably dependent can become not only comfortably independent, but can also become comfortable with having people depend on them. They can lean or stand and be leaned upon because they know what a good feeling it can be to feel needed. Debates rage over how best to address English language learners. Do we mainstream or offer separate instruction? Do we place an intensive focus on language while other subjects fall by the wayside? Do we fully immerse ELD students in general education classes and hope that the language sticks? Something in between, something else? Enter Project GLAD. Guided Language Acquisition Design, or GLAD, is an English language development, or ELD, instructional model that promotes academic language and high achievement for English language learners. It was developed by Marcia Brechel and Linnea Haley in the 1980s, rising to prominence throughout California. It was promoted by the U.S. Department of Education, received federal grants by the 1990s. Today, it's used in hundreds of districts, both nationally and internationally. Formal training includes a 7-day intensive commitment, complete with overviews, lesson, observations, discussions, debriefs, and planning time. Before we dive into the GLAD methodology, 2 points need to be made right off the bat. First, most of these strategies aren't new. They've been around for ages and have been known by different names. When you are exposed to GLAD strategies, you might be saying, hey, I already do something like that. GLAD is simply the award-winning model that tied it all together. Second, these strategies work for English learners, but they are good for all language learners. Here are a handful of well-known GLAD strategies to consider adding to your repertoire. The Cognitive Content Dictionary. Learning new vocabulary via critical thinking. Using a chart, learners will predict, define, draw pictures, create sentences, and find synonyms for new words. Asking students to create visuals and write sentences for key terms in content areas like history and science are great ways to promote academic language and critical thinking. The Pictorial Input Chart. An image with empty boxes for students to input information. The scaffolding can vary greatly. For instance, it may be completely blank, or it may already provide content headings or sentence frames. This is a fantastic strategy for comparing and contrasting data such as animals, key figures, math formulas, parts of speech, and more. Expert groups, also called a jigsaw. Students break up information and are responsible for processing different chunks of it. Next, they will master the information and teach it to classmates. Using an activity such as a gallery walk is a great way to get students up and moving around the room to learn from each other in this way. A process grid. Universal graphic organizer to hang information in rows and columns. A teacher often provides the framework or the titles and asks students to fill in the rest. This is easy to modify for students of varying capacities. Teachers could fill in one example for each row or column to provide a model for students to work from. Last, the cooperative strip paragraph. Students form groups to create sentences on a larger paper, which combine with sentences of other groups to make a paragraph. Collective revising takes place as a class. Teachers can cut the sentences into smaller chunks as well for the rearranging process. Action steps. GLAD strategies are good for all language learners. Add one of these strategies to your toolbox and use it during an upcoming lesson. Need a copy of all the Complete Teacher lessons on slides? Looking for an e-reader or physical copy of the Complete Teacher? Want to browse thousands of other top-rated engaging resources? Check out the links below.